Hello everyone. Today I bring you another chatty repot. We have a lot of orchids that are in sore need of a repot, and I thought I would film it, but of course I'm always afraid of being boring with just a simple repot. So I always like to bring up an unpopular opinion or controversial subject to discuss while I'm filming myself repotting some plants. The topic I chose for today is not as much a controversial opinion and more something that I think all of us orchid collectors have very different opinions on. And it's something that I think changes throughout our journeys as orchid collectors. And that is whether to purchase orchids as seedlings or as grown adult plants. But first I'm gonna start with a repot. I have here one of our Oncidium Twinkles. This isn't one of the plants that would need a repot more urgently, because the last time I repotted it was in 2021, which you would think was 3 years ago, so it definitely should be repotted. But I have some plants that have been in the same pot since 2020, so this wouldn't be the most urgent one, unless for the fact that, as you can see, it's growing a lot of mold inside the pot. I don't know why this one and the Repot are both doing the same thing, and they're not even grown in the same room. And all my other plants are doing fine, but fortunately YouTube doesn't have smell-o-vision yet, because this smells terrible. So I think this quickly became the most urgent repot I have to do right now. The Repot is in flower right now, so I'm gonna push it and let it stay in bloom for a couple more weeks. And then I'm gonna repot it too. So we're gonna get this one out of the way first, so I don't have to keep smelling it. So when it comes to buying orchids that are fully grown versus seedlings, by now I've been on both sides of the spectrum as an orchid collector. When I had a few big complex hybrid phalaenopsis that I got at either garden centers or supermarkets, I decided to venture and order some more specialty orchids from an online store. I think Schwerter at the time is where I ordered from. And while browsing through their store, I realized that seedlings are much cheaper than full-grown plants. And I'm pretty sure this is a journey that a lot of orchid collectors go through too. But then I found myself with a collection of complex hybrid phals and a bunch of, at the time, more exciting plants that were still going to take a couple of years to produce any flowers. And when you only have a few orchids, you become impatient very quickly. I don't love the way these roots are looking. This plant should have a much bigger root system by now. The bulbs look healthy, but clearly whatever was happening in that pot was not making the roots happy. Most of the roots actually look very much dead. And I'm gonna have to take my time going through it to make sure I don't ruin the few roots that it has that are healthy. I'm also taking this opportunity to get rid of these annoying little sheaths that Oncidiums always have. Really the dried up bottom of old leaves, really. But I always hate seeing them on the plants. Oh, and these are clearly two different plants. That might actually make it easier to clean out the root system. Well, I guess we're repotting it at a great time because this new growth here is putting out these really pretty, really fragile looking new roots. Ooh, gotta be careful. Well, these two are as clean as I'm gonna get them, so I'm gonna clean this up and we'll get back to our subject. Well, I was hoping to put this on a self-watering system of sorts. I even ordered a few, like, self-watering pots. But it doesn't fit in any of them. The pot where it fits better is this one, and I don't have anything that I could improvise a reservoir in the bottom for this one, so I think it's gonna have to wait. I was thinking of put all the Oncidiums in a sort of self-watering thing with a wick in the bottom, because we're planning on moving house at some point, maybe next year, and we would have less space. And my idea was to put the Oncidiums on the top shelf of the furniture, where they would be harder to reach. So if they had a bit of a reservoir at the bottom of the pot, I wouldn't have to water them as often. But this one's gonna have to wait. I need to find more options for self-watering settings, because all the pots I ordered weren't great. Let me know if you want to see a video about it, although I don't know exactly how that would go. I can show you the pots I find online and whether I think they work well, or trying them on with some orchids. Let me know how you would feel about that. In the meantime, this one's gonna go in a normal pot. As I was saying just now, not only was I growing very impatient with my 5 to 10 special orchids that were going to take at least 2 years to start showing flowers, after a while, being an inexperienced grower, you find another problem, which is you don't know whether the plant is not flowering because, it's still not big enough, or if you're doing something wrong in your care. Because imagine you're a bit inexperienced growing orchids. You have your first phals, you've bought, a couple of Oncidiums, maybe a dendrobium, maybe a species phal, and the seller online tells you it's 1 year from flowering. And you take care of it the best you can, and a year passes and you get no flowers. And a year and a half passes and you get no flowers. At this point, you have absolutely no idea, since it's the first time you're growing these plants, whether it's your failure and you should be giving it, more water, more light, or if just the seller wasn't exactly, let's say, right about how long it would take for the plant to flower, whether on purpose or by accident. So now, on top of being impatient, you're doubtful about your own skills. And I found that to be another hindrance in wanting to order seedlings back then. One good thing about this orchid not having many roots, really easy repot. When you repot these plants, they always end up with a gap right in the middle. Okay, there we go. Easiest repot ever, and hopefully no more funguses. Although I just now remembered, probably should have sprayed the root system with peroxide. Well, I think I can just spray it while it's on the pot and hope it works. Yeah, let's see. Next we have our paphiopedilum maudii green, which is one of those plants that has been in this pot for over 4 years now. But I found that since we started using orchidaceae, the substrate seems to last a lot longer before it starts decomposing. And that will forever be my excuse as to why I let these stay in the pot for far too long. This one doesn't look too bad, at least at first sight, but I think it's time we see what's going on in there. Well, there's moss growing on the roots, so, oh, yeah. I also forgot to tell you, we have this mystery plant that's also growing out of this pot. And it's the second time this same plant is growing only on our paph pots. I have no idea what this is. It looks like chives, but it isn't. And curiosity always gets the best of me, and I just let it grow. But that's another reason why we need to repot this one. It's been in here for far too long, and as you can see from the bottom of the pot, the faux chives are completely taking over. It does not seem to bother the paph at all, though. Either way, I think the faux chives need an eviction notice. I have no idea how I'm gonna get the paph out of here. One of the bad things of doing this repot, and maybe why I've avoided it for so long, is that the paph has its roots really stuck in these holes, and there's absolutely no way of getting it out without destroying it. So we must be brave and just get them off. So back to our main subject. After a few years, I found myself being frustrated by seedlings, and it started to seem like a good idea to have the nursery seal of approval that a plant is good and ready to bloom, and if it doesn't, it's most likely my fault and I need to adjust its care. So that's the route I went for a little bit. Okay, this pot not only has a bunch of algae and a mystery plant, it's full of this slimy substance. And I don't know if I should be advertising to the internet that I'm this careless in my plant care, but it's too late for that now. Fortunately, I think paphs bounce back pretty well from root loss, at least in my experience. Or at least these really resistant hybrids. So I think the first thing to do here is remove the grassy thing. Do you want to keep it, or?
If you can.
Okay, maybe not. It's really stuck to the other plant. And we have this really pretty moss growing in here as well. Feels like I've developed some sort of ecosystem inside that pot. There's moss, there's slime, there's mystery plants. Whole fauna and flora. Oh god, please not fauna. Ugh. So you're starting to buy mostly grown plants in the hopes to either flower them immediately or realize that your care is lacking. But after a while, you start realizing that nurseries, well, either they fib a little, or, they just are human and not magicians who can't really know if the plant's going to be blooming in 6 months or a year or 2 years. You also come across a few instances where you take a chance on a plant that says on the website is 1 year from flowering, and then you look out and you get flowers way earlier than you expect. And that surprise is always really nice. This pot is more mystery plant roots than anything else. You might think me very, very silly for leaving this plant in here, and right now I would agree with you. So at this point, not only experience makes you care less about the bit random, let's face it, deadlines that websites put on the age of the plants they have for sale, you realize that if you're making a big order, which a lot of us do because of what nurseries charge for shipping, because of course they have to, but if you're going to order some plants, you might as well make a big order, you know, to split up the cost of the shipping between a bunch of plants. And if you're making a big order, the difference in price between ordering a bunch of flowering sized plants or ordering some seedlings, it really adds up in the price of the whole order. Maybe now we can release the faux chives. Ah, they're there. I'm gonna save this because Jay is really curious to try and identify what this is, because it keeps spontaneously appearing on our pots that are inside, so it's not like seeds can just come in. So we're gonna see if it survives. As I was saying, when you find yourself at that point where you're making pretty big orders from nurseries, you probably already have a pretty sizable collection. And then you discover that with a bigger collection where a lot of things are flowering, a lot of things are exciting and are making you happy, you actually don't mind those few seedlings you got in your big order. Because it's also nice to have those seedlings that, even though you have to wait years and years to see them bloom, you get to appreciate how they develop, seeing them grow, and really enjoy the progress the plant makes from seedling to adult plant. For example, I've really been finding it really fun to do that with the seedling cattleyas that Matt from the channel Matt by Nature sent us a few years ago. They're much bigger now. And even though I'm probably not going to see flowers from them anytime soon, if ever, because, you know, plants can always die, I'm really enjoying seeing them grow and how different the plant looks from year to year. If you'd like to see an update on those gifts, just let us know. I just realized that they've been with us for, 2 years now? And I made a video of it at the time and just never made an update. So if that's something that you'd enjoy, let us know and we'll make one. This one is also 2 separate plants. Although with paphs I usually don't touch them too much because the roots are really rigid. And if I mess with them too much, they'll probably snap. But since they're rigid, one of the advantages is you can just plop it back into a pot and it's really easy to repot them. You just have to fill in the rest with clean substrate. So this little separate plantlet here, I think I'm going to keep it exactly where it is. Okay, maybe not because it's 3 plantlets. And this one seems to have, oh no. I don't know if you can see, but the main plant was here. Then it made this growth that goes under the root of this other plant. And I'm afraid if I pull this off, I will be cutting off all the roots of this one here. So I'm going to keep this stump and hopefully I haven't ruined it so far. So this pot is actually a bit smaller than the one it was in before, but I think I may be able to kind of squish the roots a tiny bit, which sounds hypocritical after I said they're rigid and you need to respect the shape they're in, but I think we can do this. Yeah, I think it's gonna fit just fine with just a tiny bit of coaxing. And these roots, if you break them, you can hear it because they proper snap. I just like to avoid having bigger pots if I can help it. I like to grow my paphs in a mixture of small bark, sphagnum, and a little bit of perlite. So in conclusion about our little subject, I'm at that point of my orchid collecting where I think that seedlings aren't great for beginners. As much as they save up on the expense of getting your collection started, I don't think they're great for people who are a bit inexperienced. But for those of us with big collections and small wallets, they can actually be pretty rewarding. You get to buy that orchid you've really been wanting, not break the bank, and instead of flowers, you get the pleasure of seeing it grow and develop and nurture it into a big adult plant. And this is all, of course, for those more common orchids that you even get the choice of buying an adult plant or a seedling. For more rare orchids, or orchids that are harder to find for sale at least, because the word rare is a bit controversial itself. You're lucky even if you find seedlings to buy. For example, I know these days they're easier to find closer to flowering and at a better price, but take it the Phalaenopsis gigantea, for example. Back in the day, you'd be lucky to find one that was like 5-6 years from flowering, and you'd still have to pay like $50, $100 for it. And if you wanted a gigantea, that's pretty much all you could find. I say back in the day like I'm really old in the orchid hobby, but by back in the day I mean like 5 years ago. Back in my day. And that is, of course, my opinion on the subject. I would love to know what you guys think and where your preferences lie when it comes to the age of the orchids you buy. So, you know, I know it's not a very controversial subject, but it is something that relates a lot to us as orchid collectors, so I'd be curious to know how you guys feel about it. So that's all I have time to get done today. As always, I picked off the shelves way more plants than I had time to record, but I got 2 done and that's good enough. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave it a like and let us know how you feel about buying seedling orchids, if it's something you like doing or if you've grown tired of it. Just let us know in the comments. You can also subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and leave us a super thanks tip if you want to support the channel further. We'll see you again next week. Goodbye.